my entire life, I was never concerned with sexism. I never was worried about being a woman because I knew I was Black first. That was until I got a Black boss. And when I was working in the ad agency and I had this Black boss, I was not given the same freedom and allowances as the white male that was working with me under this Black man. Continuing on with the story I just mentioned about, when you're single and you don't have kids, this particular person would call me at any time of the day that he wanted, expecting me to be on the phone with him for hours. I mean, there was no boundary. The assumption that he was to have all access to me, I could go on about. I remember my mom died when I was 23 years old. Okay. Or my mom's mom was still alive when my mom died. I remember being back home here in St. Louis, trying to organize the funeral, do all of the things. This man wanted access to me, had no respect for the fact that I was burying my grandmother. Didn't care, okay? When he would call me at night to talk to me or after hours, only if I had a boyfriend and he heard a man in the background, would he hang up the phone. It would go like this. He'd call, and if you heard like in the background, like male voice, it would be like, who's that? Who's that in the background? And it'd be like, don't worry about it, my friend. Whatever. I would be, say something like that. And then he'd be like, okay. And okay, all right, well, call me later. Okay, call me back. I mean, this happened so many times. If I didn't have a male, if I was alone, if I were by myself, he'd be on that phone all night long, just demanding access to me. Now, I was young. I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't have the strength and the know-how to cut that shit off. I didn't. And it was a constant battle with him because it's just like, I had to tell him many times, listen, I'm not a child. I'm grown. And that's another thing. When you are younger, people who are older who work with you will trample all over your boundaries because you are younger. They will not respect you. They will assume they can have access to you. If you were older with a whole family, a husband around, they wouldn't treat you like that. So this is something that exists. This is real. And more women are single and deciding, they're not going to even have kids, get married, whatever. We shouldn't even have to have this conversation. But when you are alone, the way they see it, they see you as alone, they will assume that they have the ability to access you anytime they want. Now, I dealt with this a lot with this particular person. It was disrespectful. There was a time when I was out in LA doing focus groups, and we had a whole team of people that was their job to conduct the focus groups, to provide the reporting. But I guess there was no budget for him to go on this particular trip. So he didn't go. So he was constantly calling me while I was out in LA, trying to make sure, constantly. It didn't even make any sense. I'm in LA on a business trip, trying to see what I was doing, wanting me to call and check back in with him back in Dallas. I remember he wanted me to call him the next day so we could talk about what people said in the focus group. Like, are you fucking kidding me? We have whole reports that are going to be written about this. I mean, it was just insane. So I remember telling him, I said, but it's going to be 6 a.m. He wanted me to call at 8. I said, that's 6 a.m. in LA. He's like, I don't care. So I had to get up and call him at 6 a.m. because he just felt like he was owed access to me. We had fights about it. It was not a good situation. It got better because I kept pushing back. As the time went on. But, ultimately I left this job. This man was very, very possessive of my time and access to me. We're, again, friends now. He could hear this and probably get mad, but this is my lived experience. This is my experience. I was sick. I tried to go home. He called. Where did you go? I went home. I didn't feel well. I had to argue with him for 45 minutes about why I had to leave because I was sick. So people feel entitled to your time. And what I say to that is nipping it in the bud. The first time it happens, you need to be very, very clear. Listen, if you're a young person, you have autonomy over your time, and I'm here to do a job. I'm here to do a good job. I want to do a good job in my position, but I'm available at these times. And if it's not an emergency, I'm not available after hours or during certain times. Now, certain environments require a different sort of work routine and ethic. Advertising is one of those. We'll talk about that in a minute. But sexism is definitely a thing. I think that if I was not a Black woman, this Black man would not talk to me in the way that he did and try to do the things that he did, because he was my ally in that space. So I was too young to understand and really be savvy to what was happening. But if I were to do it all over again, and I'm telling you, sexism is a thing. It is something that Black women have to deal with for sure. And I was very ignorant to it until I had a Black supervisor. And I was lackadaisical about establishing access to me, about limiting access to me inside of what I consider appropriate business hours.